Welcome, everybody. My name's Luke, and this is the inaugural episode of Brits and Yanks Talk Trek. This is going to be a podcast for Trekkies, Trekkers, and absolutely everything in between. This is, like I say, our first ever episode, so thank you so much for stopping by. We're brought together as a group of friends from both sides of the pond by our obsession with a little game called Star Trek Fleet Command. This isn't just a podcast all about STFC, Star Trek Fleet Command. This is for Star Trek fans in general. We're going to explore a topic from the game, so from Star Trek Fleet Command and from Star Trek as well on every single episode. So there'll be little tidbits and everything about that. And obviously, if you are not a member of Star Trek Fleet Command and you're not a player and you want to come and check it out with us, you are more than welcome. We want this show to be like an amazing community get together as well. So you can get involved. You have the power to control the conversation in future episodes. We want suggestions for Star Trek and STFC segments. So any suggestions that you've got in terms of what we can use as topics for things as we go through, you can throw them in our Discord. Our link to our Discord is in the description down below, and I would suggest absolutely everybody joining that so that you can stay involved with the whole team. Talking of the team, I think this would be a really boring show if you had to sit and listen to me for the entire time, but the whole Brits and Yanks Talk Trek team is here now to put me right, to disagree with my weird way of looking at things and offer perspectives all over the place. We're going to go around the team now. We're going to give you a brief introduction on their positions, both as a Trekkie and as an STFC player, so that you can see the variety, the span of the panel, and just sort of understand the sheer experience that we've got in here, obviously to give us our values and opinions. So I'll start with myself. As I've said, my name's Lube. I know it's a funny name. It's spelled Lewb. Get your minds out the gutter, people. And in terms of Star Trek, I started watching Star Trek when I was a teenager. First thing I ever watched was TNG. I actually think the first episode I watched was Best of Both Worlds, which I don't think anybody would disagree would be one of the best episodes of Trek ever. But since then, I actually decided that my favourite series was Deep Space Nine. So a bit controversial, not the first thing I watched. It was actually the last of the original 3 series that I watched, but I think Deep Space Nine is my favourite series of all time. Moving on to STFC, I'm a day one player, so I've been playing since November of 18. I am on server 135, which is a European server, and I'm currently up 61. I am an official content creator for Scopely, and my favourite ship is the Enterprise D. How could it be any different? The most iconic ship ever in Star Trek. I have now got one. I love it. It is a behemoth, and that is definitely my favourite ship that I've got and ever had, potentially ever likely to have at the moment. I absolutely love it. My favourite arc ever in Star Trek Fleet Command, to give you a little bit of idea, is the Outlaw arc, which was the stellar one. I know, shoot me now. Lots of people hate it. But at the time when it came out, it was absolutely fantastic. Really brief intro to me. We're now going to go around the panel. I'm going to introduce you to the rest of the amazing people that are going to be part of the Brits and Yanks Talk Trek. And obviously, from my accent, you've probably picked up I'm one of the Brits. But we're going to go around the panel and we're going to start off with and say a massive hello to Candy. Hi, Candy. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Absolutely
Candy
marvelous.
White. My name's Candy White, and I'm a Yank from the U.S. Been playing, or I was first introduced to Star Trek when I was about 10 years old. First series I ever watched was The Next Generation. But my favorite series of all time at this point still is Star Trek Enterprises. Scott Bakula is an awesome captain and just kind of more or less carried that entire series.
Controversial.
Yeah.
Controversy in episode 1. That's what I like.
and I love and sing the theme too.
It's because you got faith of the heart. It's because you got faith of the heart, isn't it?
I got strength of the soul.
Oh dear. this could keep going. This could become a recurring theme.
but you know what? Nothing's gonna bend or break me.
Well, we can all try.
Next.
What about STFC?
I've been playing Star Trek Fleet Command since about 2 months after the game's launch. I took a year off from the game after about playing for a year. I just kind of got burnt out on it. Just taking too much of my personal time at that time. But I came back to the game right after the Borg first Vidar arc had finished up. I'm on server 24, and currently I'm a Ops 47 player, ready to go to 48, but there's still a little bit of work I want to do before I press the go button there. My favorite ship in the game right now, once again having that faith, is the Enterprise NX-01. I just got it to tier 6. It's level 30 currently. And it's at a point power-wise where for my gameplay, it's actually no longer just a one-trick pony in fighting Zindi hostiles. I mean, a lot of my daily assignments that I have, it's able to handle it pretty easily. And yeah, it's no longer just going out to Zindies and getting blown up there one time.
Go home
Uh,
gun.
yeah. It's like, don't have to worry about the go home gun and then send it back out when it gets blown up. Uh, so my favorite story arc of the game so far at this point has been the lower decks arc. I mean, it kind of offered a fresh, funny, and lighter perspective of the entire Star Trek universe. Where it's just it's never taken itself seriously, and it definitely didn't take itself seriously during its arc run. So it was a breath of fresh air to kind of from the usual kind of traditional kind of strict we're exploring space, but we're not going to have fun with it at the same time type of past Star Trek kind of mentality. So that's definitely been my favorite arc to this point.
Was you happy that it was a cartoon though? Because that got a lot of ripped, didn't it? Loads of people hated the fact, why have we got cartoons in a game? I think the whole game's pretty cartoony, but everybody hated the fact it had cartoons.
Oh, I absolutely loved it. For those who have actually watched the series. I mean, it's not meant to be serious, and that's why it's an animated series. So they could do a lot more with it with a heck of a lot smaller budgets. I mean, it's a fun series to watch, and it was a fun series to experience in the game, and it's still relevant in the game to this date. So it's definitely left its mark.
Oh, it totally is. I mean, and I use officers from lower decks every single day. So, I mean, like you say, they have created a bit of a legacy in the game and they are really good. And I'm sure we'll get on to talking about them a little bit later. But that's Candy, everybody. So, massive thank you to Candy. We're now going to move on to Minnie. How are you, Minnie?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
So my name's Minnie Mabel. I do go by Minnie or Mabel, which freaks me out ever so slightly. I am one of the Brits. My Star Trek. You know what? It seems to be a common theme, but the Next Generation was my first introduction to the Star Trek universe. And then I continued on with Voyager, completely ignoring Deep Space Nine until about 12 months ago. That is the first time I actually watched it.
And this is Minnie's first and last time ever on the podcast because of that. I'm only joking. Sorry, Minnie, carry on.
That's fine. My favourite series has actually been the new Picard. I absolutely love the Easter eggs. I love the flashbacks and I just love it. I'm absolutely enjoying it.
With the exception of season 2, right?
Yeah, I don't want to give spoilers away in case people haven't watched it yet. Be careful.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Silvus has watched it. Silvus has watched it. Don't worry.
So with regards to the game, I mean, I started playing. This scared me when I wrote this down. I started playing in November 2022. It feels like I've been playing for a few months, but this is my second year in the game, and that scares me a little bit because the game itself isn't why I keep coming back. It is the community in this game. I'm on server 109, and I'm now Ops 43 on my main account. My favourite ship is the Frankie A, because it was my first ship which introduced me to a grind of the daily variety. And it was also the first ship that I managed to level up to the Frankie A. And I just thought that was amazing. Taking a 2 hour grind and condensing it into 15 minutes. Oh, wow. So that blew my mind. So that has stayed as my favourite ship. My favourite arc has been the Enterprise with the Zindi. So the first one, not the Aquatics, the first one. Due to the fact that it's the first arc I've been involved in, which has challenged me for the correct level that I was at for the arc, therefore showing me that I was failing in areas of my game, and that was my ships. My officers were okay, my research was good, my station was great, but my ships had let me down. So it was the first arc which highlighted where I needed to work, and it has directed me forward since. So,
super
yeah.
interesting. I don't know about anybody else. I mean, a few of the other people on the panel are the same as me. I don't know how depressing it is, the fact we've been playing for 5 years as opposed to 2 years. I think, Christ almighty, I remember when I was playing for 2 years, playing for 5 years feels like a long time. Half a decade some of us have been playing. I think it's absolute madness. But thank you so much, Minnie, and welcome. And thank you so much for being part of the team. Moving on, we have Silvus. Silvus, how are you?
I'm doing great, Lube.
Outstanding. What's your experiences?
So my name's Silvus. I am another Server 24 person, clearly a Yank by my lack of accent as compared to the British in our podcast. I'm Ops 49, and I started playing Star Trek The Command in March of 2020. So it's been about 4 years, a little bit over 4 years for me. My favorite ship is the Enterprise, the Kelvin one that you get at Ops 34. I just had so much fun with that ship, maxing it, and this is before Strike Team, but killing G4 ships with a Max Enterprise as an Ops 39. That was a lot of fun for me back then. That was the highlight of my game, I would say, that late G3 era. As far as my favorite arc, I would say the DS9 arc, particularly the end, Christmas of 22, with the big event store payouts.
Record breaking event store, wasn't it?
A lot of people were nearing 1 million in loot, and that was just unheard of to this day, even. So that was my favorite arc.
And Deep Space Nine, didn't it? That was the one that had the espionage events, didn't it? And it's the first and only time they've ever really done like a multi-month mystery type event. Obviously, with like the Changeling Kira in there, and I thought that was like a really nice addition. They even went to the trouble, didn't they, of changing the artwork on original Kira into Changeling Kira, and then actually releasing a real Kira as well into the game. It was just like such a nice tie through for the 3 months, wasn't it? Everybody was second guessing who is it, and we eliminated.
It was actually
somebody.
4 months. It was a 4-month arc, and they put so much into the game during the Deep Space Nine arc. We started with the Cardassian armadas, which are done every week because it's a battle pass event and it's useful for upgrading your starbase. And then we got the Dominion armadas, and the Defiant, which was the month later, I believe. I believe the Defiant came in November, and then December was the assaults, which we don't talk about because they weren't any good. But
move on.
You talk about the espionage. We got strike teams. There's just so much put into the arc.
Dominion solos as well.
4 months. Yep.
So obviously, our first introduction to solo armadas, which are still one of my favourite parts of the game. You know what I mean? Still one of my favourites anyway. With the Dominion solos and the solo armadas, I still think they're absolutely fantastic. But yeah, absolutely. Well, what about Star Trek then? What about your actual introduction to Star Trek? Because what made you come to the game is, I'm presuming, Star Trek.
Yes. I started watching Deep Space Nine in high school, and for those of you that don't know me, this was me watching Deep Space Nine 20 years or so after it had originally aired. But Deep Space Nine was my first entry into Star Trek. I fell in love with the series. I loved the sci-fi part of it. Today, favorite series would be Stranger Worlds, although I'll agree with Candy that Lower Decks is very good. It was a hard choice between Lower Decks and Stranger Worlds. And unpopular opinion, I actually did like Discovery.
Oh, I think that'll cause some controversy as well. We've got a few good talking points for the future. Loads of people hate Discovery.
We need to go back. I got insulted when I told you I came to Deep Space Nine 20 years later, and yet Silvus is like, "Oh yeah, that's lovely, mate. That's great."
Yeah, but Silvus also has the
two.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Apologies.
Silvus is the world's world's most developed toddler. That's basically what he is, the world's most developed toddler.
I believe my parents were just out of high school when Deep Space Nine aired.
Christ.
Nice.
So scary. So scary. But no, thank you so much, and welcome on in. And obviously, finally, absolutely, last but not least, we've got Stewie Doo. Nice to see you, Stewie. How are you?
Why am I here?
Yeah. We asked the same question, but what we had to do, the thing is, we've got to tick a fair few diversity boxes, and what we didn't have was old. So we had to obviously so we had to tick that diversity box. So you tick the old.
Okay, well,
box.
I'll go with that. I'll go with that. Well, I'm Stewie of Officer Tool and Battlelog Tool fame, also known as Lube's alt account in the guild and the alliance, which is very nice. I'm a day one player, 135 as well, and yeah, I'm Ops 54, waiting to push the trigger to go all the way up to 56 next, I think. But I'm waiting on those silence. Need to be able to kill those. That's my blocking point there. Star Trek, I think as a toddler, it must have been TOS. I remember the odd bit of TOS on the screen.
I think we need to ban that.
sounds a bit-
I don't know if I should ban the word toss. I don't know if I should ban the word toss from ever being allowed on a podcast.
I agree.
No acronyms.
I said it because I knew that Silverson loved acronyms, so I had to put that in there. And next to that was obviously Next Gen, and that was the one that I remember seeing properly, because I was already at an age where I could actually take it in and enjoy the thing, and then I was hooked, and pretty much watched everything apart from, and don't shoot me, Enterprise, which I've only just started watching this year, gone back to. My favourite used to be DS9, but I'm leaning towards what Silvers likes as well, which is Strange New Worlds. I really like it because it's got all the new look of Discovery, which I also enjoyed, but it's leaning back towards TOS and what TOS used to do with the episodes and all of that, and I really like that. I just think that they've gone in a good direction with that one. So that's me.
Off being the original series, for those of you that aren't understanding Stewie's vernacular.
Yeah, it's literally TOS in the game, so they should get it. TOS Kirk, TOS this, TOS that, TOS everyone. I'm hoping they'd get it from the game.
What's your favourite ship then?
My favourite ship, it's because, as Lube says, we've been playing for 5 years now, that it has changed based on ops level. My current favourite ship has to be the Talius. It's it's just amazing for what it does as every level that you seem to progress with it. In fact, the Talius is the single ship that's made me rush through my ops levels so quickly because I've just wanted to increase it more and more and more. It's a brilliant ship. I literally do everything in my Talios. I do solos, I do group armadas, I do my grinding in it, I do PvP in it. I mean, I virtually don't use any other ship apart from miners.
No, it's so versatile. It's probably one of the most versatile ships, and it's probably one of the most long-lasting ships. I think the Borg Cube may have overtaken that, even though it's a bit of a paperweight at the early levels. But from a diversity standpoint, getting that at Ops 35, and like I said, Stewie's still using it at 54, ready to go to 56. Oh my God.
Carried me all the way.
What an absolute span of ops levels that is. And I totally understand why that would be really high on the list.
It's an amazing ship.
It really is.
Ship.
Really is.
I mean, as a youngster, it has to have been the Kera, wasn't it? The first decent, the 3-star Inter that we got, because I remember absolutely terrorizing Vortices with it because I actually took it to max. I think I was one of the only people that ever maxed that at that time. Everyone else was going up to the next level of ships, and I went, nope, I like this one too much, and it used to absolutely terrorize Vortices with it. And I know it's a long running joke, but You
Don't say the
can't
North
knock
Star.
the North Star.
I knew
The
you were
North Star,
going to
you
say
can't
it.
knock it. At the early levels, and it's happened again, even with my free to play account. First thing I did was get one of those, get it maxed, and it's carried me through the first bit of the game because it did everything. It mined quickly. It could shoot hostiles. It could do almost anything up to a point. And then as soon as I outgrew it, then I already had other things to move into. So yeah, it's got to have an honourable mention.
Definitely. And to be fair, I would have felt like we'd been served a huge disservice if you didn't mention the North Star when we were talking about favourite ships. I'd have felt like I'd have felt like your old age had caught up with you and you'd gone senile or something by that point if you hadn't got there.
Well,
no.
you know that I've got several on my main account maxed. So.
Oh, I do know. Oh, and we won't even talk about the sarcophagus. We'll move swiftly on. That's the team. So obviously the team consists of obviously myself and all the other guys, and we are here to obviously give you our opinions on everything Star Trek, on everything STFC as we go through on this podcast. And the main focus of this is going to be, we're going to have a topic of STFC that we're going to talk about, and we're going to have a topic specifically something to do with Star Trek. So we're going to have topics of the pods, and the first one that we're going to talk about is going to be about STFC in general. And the topic for tonight's STFC segment is name one bug in the game that you wish would be fixed first. And just to go in a different order, we're going to start off with Minnie on this one. So what is the bug in the game that you would like to be fixed first by Scopely? What do you think should be their biggest priority?
For me, it's the graphical glitch when you're mining. If you're in a system for too long and all the nodes turn neon pink, I hate it.
The pink blocks, yeah, pink block, and that's something that's been around for such a long time. And even though it doesn't necessarily impact what you're doing, does it? It's just an annoyance that you think would have been able to sort with it being a graphical issue.
Exactly.
Yeah, get that. What about you, Candy?
My long-time irritation, and again with the help of Silvas, I play Star Trek Fleet Command a lot more frequently on the PC now, but I still play on my phone from time to time. And the one thing that still bugs me the most playing on my phone is when you're switching between screens and like you're going into like the events menu or you're going into like the refinery screen or something, and you're trying to back out because something is happening in the game, and and the loading screen hangs, where you just get the spinning wheel of death in the corner waiting for the screen to finish loading, and you got to restart your entire game and get back into it. So that's been going on, at least for me, for probably at least 4 or 5 months easy, and it seems to be something that they don't want to take care of, or there's not that big of an issue populace wise to handle it.
But it is a problem because, I mean, at the crux of this game, it is a mobile game. Yes, we have a PC client for it, the ability to play it on PC, but the mobile experience should be better than what it is. And I think this is a really big talking point, maybe one for the future, on how the game has switched to, I can't play this game anymore for any prolonged period of time without being on my PC.
Agreed. Right. I almost only play it on the PC now.
My phone literally becomes a, oh crap, I need to put a shield on. Oh, my miner needs recycling. Oh, I need to send my ships to a TC. Or, do you know what I mean? I might
I left my base in TC for incursions.
Exactly that. That's very time topical, isn't it, from today? I can't imagine who would do that. Leave it in there at 20 past when incursion started. And I did move it on my phone. So it's... yeah. So your phone becomes more of a convenience factor rather than actual gameplay tool, doesn't it? I mean, is that the same for you, Silvers, Mini? Are you still in that sort of ballpark?
Yeah, I would agree. Sign on to move miners around, check on your shield, maybe hit a couple of hostiles if you've just had a rough day and haven't been able to sit down at your computer, because freebooters don't take you very long.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, you can't sustainably play on a phone, in my opinion. Can't really do armadas that well. It can't do waves at all.
Until August of last year, I guess you could.
I'm 100. The only time I sit in front of the PC is when I'm streaming. It's a whole new world to me. Otherwise, I'm sat here now whilst we're doing this with my tablet
And that's another thing I
playing
think.
the game.
Tablet's not as bad though, is it?
No.
Yeah, a tablet is got a different aspect ratio.
Yeah.
So that makes it better.
I agree.
It's not as bad.
But I think.
I mean, I don't actually remember the last time I actually loaded it up on the phone, and it would have almost definitely have been just to check that I had actually done a shield, because I'm quite good with my shields, and they're normally there, but sometimes I've left the house and I've gone, did I set my shield or not? And that's the only reason it will be brought up on the phone, is to just check that the shield actually has been set.
No, and I think it's if you start playing it on I bet more people download this on mobile and then start playing it there. But I think once you've made that transition to actually using the PC client, and I don't think it'll be possible for people to go back. I mean, I know people that are up 65, 66. There's BK in our Alliance, Stuart, who only plays on a tablet, really. He plays on a PC
Tablet,
when
I
he
know.
absolutely needs to. But like we say, tablet's slightly different to mobile. But anybody that's trying to play this game completely on a mobile, I can't even imagine that experience anymore.
I mean, they're wrong. They're right up there with left-handed people, aren't they? Really.
Left-handed
Man.
people, yeah.
Hey, man.
And people that choose Discovery as the best series.
First episode, and you want to throw hands?
Whoa.
What about
there's 12% of our audience gone.
That's all of it. Yeah, exactly. Go on then, Stewie. What about you? Biggest bug that you'd like to see get rid of?
At the risk of you groaning, okay, it's not for the reason that you think it is. It's actually the North Star mining bug. Okay, the healthy mining. Okay, and it's not because it doesn't display the right rate. It's the sentiment that is actually sent by that still not being fixed.
Explain
Okay,
what you mean.
right, that ship, the North Star, is probably one of the oldest of the ships out there now. It was the original ship. It came out a few events in. I can't remember exactly when it was. I think it was after the baby jelly, wasn't it? But it was sold. It was a sold piece of kit initially, and it didn't work. Okay, well, it worked, but it didn't display the correct rate. Okay, so you never actually knew exactly when your ship was going to finish. Okay, which was an inconvenience. The point that I'm getting at, though, is that this is a bug that has been there for years, and I'm guaranteeing that it's got to be an easy fix. It has to be, but they choose not to do it.
Yeah.
They just literally say, well, I'm not going to bother. Okay. And there are still players that are joining the game now that will be getting that ship, will be using that ship. And it's a ship that fundamentally doesn't show how well or badly it's working. And I think that that's a general trend through the entire game for all bugs. And to me, it's the attitude that scopes themselves have towards the game, where they invest time and effort in certain areas and not others. And I think we've seen a general pattern as to where their attention usually goes for bug fixes, as opposed to where it doesn't go. Okay, we know the type of bug fixes that do get fixed almost immediately. Okay,
Yeah.
the ones that just get left forever. Okay, so that to me is my biggest annoyance, only because of the age of the bug and the fact that it's got to be a simple one to fix, and they're literally choosing to ignore it. In fact, I'm sure they've got developers in there that don't even know that bug exists. You know,
Yeah.
people that have started since the North Star came out, and they don't even realize it, and they'd be sitting there going, "Hold on, mate, give us 10 minutes, I'll fix that." You know, but it's just
Absolutely.
not going in on anyone's desk, basically, and that annoys me, and that's why that's my biggest gripe.
And not been seen as a priority. I mean, I suppose the only advantage to that bug is that the functionality is correct. It's not that it's not working; it's working correctly. However, it's just
Correct. Yeah.
it's a display graphical issue. It's going back to
Yeah.
what Minnie was saying about the pink squares. The mining nodes will
Exactly.
still work. However, graphically and the way it looks to the player base, especially somebody that's just
Yeah.
joined the game and then they've got, well, I've paid for this ship that doesn't work.
Yeah, and as I said, it's not the bug itself
Mm.
that's annoying.
Attitude.
It's the fact that it's still not fixed. That's what annoys me.
I agree.
You know, and I'm sure that's one of many sort of like day one bugs that they have. You know, you know the ones that have been fixed. I mean, you remember the original baby jelly bug where it was doing the double
Uh-huh.
skills.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pike.
that got fixed.
Pike.
Yeah, that got fixed. You know, everything gets fixed when it's a certain kind of bug.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Without being too derogatory, I totally understand where you're going with that. Totally
Yeah.
get it. And like I say,
Yeah.
it is wrong, and we need to put more focus on some of the little things. Do you know what I mean? Some of the little quality of life things that are literally there for purely for player facing. They're not something that's going to directly impact them.
Yeah, and you've seen recently what I brought up again in the dev rooms with regards to the ATAs.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
and it
traits.
just yeah, and it just gets you know, it looks like there's a bit of interest shown, and then it just dies. It's ignored, and then, I mean, I'm guessing that there's guys now that are working on these officers that simply don't realise that traits actually have a tier level assigned to them, and they just think, oh, which traits should we have, and they're just picking them randomly without realising that they can't or shouldn't be picking them randomly because that has knock-on effects. And it's the same sort of mentality as the North Star one. It goes, it doesn't matter. It's you know, it's what's wrong with it? Nothing much. Okay, let's leave it. We'll concentrate on producing even more content.
I totally agree. And what about yourself, Silvers?
I was thinking of ghost ships, and I mean that in two different ways. So, first being the obvious one, the random ships that you see in a system that are in every system that you see in the game, but you can't actually select or do anything to. Though that's the typical way that you would think of ghost ships in the game. But because it's incursions today when we're recording, I also think of when you send out a ship and it never reaches its destination, and you'll hit locate and it'll take you to a galaxy view, but you can't actually use it. You have to restart, and your ship will be back home at that point.
Yeah, really annoying. Really annoying. I mean, especially when you've had like a team that's been pummeling a base to raid it, and there's like 73 amalgams just sat on top of each other in a pretty star.
Yep, that too.
Oh, no,
Ghost ships are quite annoying.
they are super annoying. Anybody got any more comment on ghost ships or anything like that before we move on?
What's yours?
Because I agree. Yeah, definitely do, man. hadn't forgot me. So I did forget me.
God
I will
forbid.
get better at this. So the thing for mine was the Kia Shower artifact, and it was for two reasons. The first thing that it wasn't working. So the Kia Shower artifact allows you to, in essence, queue hostiles. So you press attack, and then you click another one, press Q, and you can queue. Depending on the level of your artifact, the more hostiles you're able to queue. And this artifact was introduced as like a grind time saver, and the premise of it is fantastic. The premise of it's outstanding. This was a pay-only feature. It was a pay-only feature that they know didn't work, and they launched it anyway. And that type of a bug where they are aware it doesn't work and they continue to launch it, and it's still not fixed properly to this day, having been out now for a couple of months, that is my biggest bugbear. Do you know what I mean? When they know, and for the sake of shelving it and making it work and then releasing it later, it wouldn't have had any backlash. But people have actually spent real life money on this. It's not like something that they've ground out and it doesn't work and they can fix it later. They can say it's not cost me anything. It's all right. People have only got that if they've bought it. Do you understand what I mean? People have made a conscious decision to actually fork out cash for a product that doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, DJs has totally lost his schnitzel with them over that, hasn't he?
Yeah. And
I
quite
mean, like
rightly so.
totally, he's read them the riot act over that. The players, a lot of the players won't have seen it, but he has literally held them to account on that one, and he's not letting them off the hook either.
No. And so
And like you say,
shouldn't.
rightfully so.
And so you shouldn't. As somebody that bought it, I mean, I didn't buy it. Did anybody buy it?
No, No.
I did not.
No,
And as soon as I realised that
No.
it wasn't going to work in the one place that it was
waves.
the most important, which was waves, I was like, nah, I'll wait.
I totally agree. Absolutely, totally agree. So, I mean, that was the biggest bugbear for me. Bugbear. Do you see what I did there? But biggest bugbear for me for that one.
And that's it. We're out.
And we're out on that one.
Good night, folks.
Good night, all. But no, moving on. That was our STFC topic of the pod. We're now going to move on to our Star Trek topic of the pod. So something specifically Star Trek related. And the question tonight is, which side character would you like to have seen more from? And it can be from any series. So this is somebody basically that's not considered in the opening credits. So they're not a main character. So who would we like to see? So we're going to start off with, again, we'll go in a totally different order. We will start with you, Silvers.
I was thinking of Rolaren from The Next Generation.
Come on, why'd you take my choice?
It's a good one, Candy. Ro
yeah.
is a Bajoran Starfleet officer that grew up during the Cardassian occupation, ended up joining the Maquis, and coming back to Starfleet. And I think she had really good character development from what we saw of her in The Next Generation. And it would have been nice to see her in other Star Trek series like Deep Space Nine or some of the later ones.
Are we being careful about
Picard.
spoilers here? Because we have seen her, haven't we? Did she come back?
We have seen her.
Come back.
She came back.
She was
the final season of
Literally in the last one you just mentioned.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just putting it up. Like, I know that she was in Picard, but I understand, and I'm just saying that I think more in like her developmental years, so to speak, during the Next Generation, would have been nice for her to have even more character development.
I agree. And what I loved about her is that Starfleet is so correct, prim, proper. It's got their officers, they've been through the academy, they're the model officer, and 99% of them tick that box as being the modical, dedicated Starfleet officers. What Rolaren did was she took somebody with fantastic ability, and it's her ability that got her through. Do you know what I mean? She was a talented pilot. She was, do you know what I mean? She was clever. Do you know what I mean? Everything, she had the qualities, but what she didn't have was the same mentality as everybody else. She was more Rolaren first, Starfleet second, whereas everybody else was sort of vice versa. And I agree, she would have had some fantastic character development.
Yeah, I loved her attitude. Or literally her attitude, and I think I seem to lean towards characters I like as well, like the Milana Torreses and stuff like that. And Rose a perfect example of that. That's a great choice, actually. Hadn't even thought of her, but yeah, she was a great character. Is a great character in the series.
Yeah. I thought she was a great shout. Candy, because you had the same one, have you got anything else to add to that? Because honestly, I think that was a great choice. What was your reasons?
I mean, she was honestly like one of the first characters in the Star Trek like ethos to actually challenge the Federation way of doing things. I mean, the giving everyone pushback every single step of the way and kind of forcing them to realize like kind of like how Cisco kind of took it and ran with it in DS9, where it's like, are we doing the right thing? Like making Star Trek or other Starfleet officers question what they're doing. Like, don't just not to not to be dogmatic about Starfleet's ways, but to kind of try and see it from another person's perspective.
I totally agree. I think that was a great choice. I think it might even be better than mine, if I'm being bluntly honest, but we'll come to mine in a second. Minnie, who was yours?
Yeah.
I may have totally misunderstood this because I've gone for the triples.
No, I'm happy with that.
Because listen to me.
Go on.
There is reason for this. The Deep Space Nine episode where they went back to the TOS,
The TOS
Oh, that
crossover.
was
where they introduced. Yeah, it was amazing,
love that episode.
and I absolutely love the new and the old coming together, and it was all based around the Tribble because it had come back, and how do we deal with it? And I just loved them. I think they were awesome. I think it was an opportunity missed not to have more of them in different seasons. Different.
They did the opposite though. They did more shows with Klingons.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. And Minnie's just stole another topic as well. What's your favourite race that you'd like to have seen more of? She's just stolen another topic, hasn't she, by you choosing the Tribbles? She's great. But no, I totally agree. I think the Tribbles added a dimension, didn't they, because of the fact that they didn't actually like hurt anybody or do anything, but the replication, multiplication elements of them, they just took over the ship, didn't they? And I think they could have had so much more fun with that.
They made love, not war. That can't be bad,
God.
can it?
And philosophical corner with Minnie.
but did they really make love, or were they just self-replicating?
No.
You'll have to look that up, and we'll have that as an interesting fact, Minnie. How do Tribbles reproduce? I'll do mine next. So mine, I went for Tom Riker. So hear me out here. I don't know if this is a good one or a bad one. I went for Tom Riker. I feel that William C. Riker went down on a planet. He had a transporter accident where, in essence, two versions of Riker were then created. One was left on a planet for years, and one was the William Riker that we know from basically the start of TNG. But I think Tom Riker, although he appeared in that one episode where he stole the Defiant, I can't think of another one where he came in. There may have been one, but I think they could have used him because he's an exact likeness and match, both physically and obviously chemically as well. They couldn't distinguish between the two. I think there was the ability to use him a lot more, especially because of how much Riker was in obviously pretty much every series. He was there at some point in pretty much everything. And I just think there could have been so much more character development with Tom. Bearing in mind there is another clone of William Riker out there, and I think there could have been a lot more really good episodes with him mimicking Riker and doing things that he shouldn't be doing.
See, now you've just stolen the next topic of the best transporter accident. Because Neelix and Tuvok. Hello.
I see what he did there. But does anybody agree, disagree? Was that a good choice or a bad choice?
I like it.
Yeah, it
Decent
was
choice,
all right.
It was all right,
Yeah.
thanks. I'm never going to get any positive
okay.
things off Stewie, am I? Let's be fair. Well, okay then. Go on then, Stewie.
Well,
One up me.
he's no Roe, is he? I mean, Roe trumps that one. Roe does trump that one.
Go on then. You one up me then,
In my
Stewie. What's yours?
Just for what she did for any episode she was in, it's got to be Luxana Troy, Deanna's mother.
I like
Every
that.
single
that.
episode that she was in was just fun. It was amusing. She was in DS9 as well as Next Gen. Her manservant was hilarious. The lurch-looking chap, and it was just great. You know, when she wanted Diana to dress in the customary outfit for the wedding and stuff like that, and
Which
she
we
said
all
she was
wanted,
gonna turn up. Yeah. But everything about her was just brilliant, and there was a couple of absolutely brilliant storylines that were based on her as well. There was one where she was the Ferengi. Do you remember that one?
I do.
Where she had Ferengi ship?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and that was a brilliant one, and it's her ability. We saw it a lot with Odo, where you saw a completely different side to her when they were both stuck in the lift, and he was
Melting.
basically literally having a meltdown.
Hey!
So yeah, so for me, I think I could have done with seeing. I was careful how I phrase this. Seeing more of her.
Oh, you see quite a bit.
Within. Yeah. Within the series, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she was one of those sort of like hidden gems, I think, from time to time that they just threw in there that never failed to impress.
No, I totally agree. And obviously, little fun fact as well, she actually played the voice of the computer as well. Hair actress, that's
She
the
did,
voice of the
yep.
computer. And for anybody that's going to be screaming or shouting anywhere when you listen to this, it's Mr. Home, isn't it? That was the name of the manservant Lurch
Mr. Home.
dude.
Well, that was her second one. I think she had one before him as well, but the Lurch dude was Mr. Home.
Yeah, the big grey dude.
Yes,
I don't know
he
what
was brilliant.
species he was. I don't know what species he was, which is nice.
I don't know either.
No.
I don't know.
But thank you so much, peeps. Obviously, that's us gone all the way around the panel with both of our sets of topics tonight. I hope you've really enjoyed this first episode of the podcast. The podcast is going to be released on a weekly basis. That's the plan. And just so where this is going to start off as a Podbean only exclusive in terms of platform, but that is literally only going to be for a few days to a week whilst we get verified with all the different platforms. So then you'll be able to pick us up on Apple Podcast, YouTube, all that sort of thing. Please join our Discord and obviously give yourself the Nut House role. The Nut House role, which you can get from the Rolls and Channels channel in our Discord.
Channels and rolls.
There we go. That's the first correction. Ding! You'll be able to get that from the Channels and Rolls channel in our Discord. You can obviously get that, and you can keep you kept up to date when we launch new podcasts. Follow the podcasts if you're listening to this at least a week or so after we've recorded it. You'll be able to get it on all the major platforms. Please leave us a review on things like iTunes, all that sort of stuff. It really, really helps the podcast out. Check out all of our other channels as well. We do have Twitch channels, both myself and Mini Mabel. You can look up It's Lube, or you can look up Mini Mabel on Twitch. Follow me on YouTube. All links to all these things are going to be down in the podcast description. Officer Tool, Battle Log Tool, join that Discord. It's the biggest Discord server outside of official, so it's got so many people in there that are going to be able to help you. And involved in that is obviously the chat section where all the information relating to STFC that is in chat form that Silvers helps to manage is all contained within that podcast. Check out the website. That's itslube.com, where you will be able to pick up any merch that Candy has very, very expertly put together for us, and it's an absolutely fantastic place to go. And also, whilst you are on there, consider becoming a member of the podcast. Becoming a member of the channel. If you are a member, you have the option to start thinking about coming on to and participating within the podcast, join in with our topics of the pod, and you're going to be able to have your say and argue with us and see where we go from it. But all feedback is welcome. Remember, we do want your questions. We do want your topics for all the future shows. Thank you so much to absolutely everybody. Thank you to Minnie. Thank you to Candy. Thank you to Stewie. Thank you to Silvers for being here. I thank you all. And remember, guys, thanks for listening. And everything is better with Lou. Take care and have a wonderful evening.
Go the Brits!
I'm a Brit, by the way.